Lovely. Okay. So let's make a start. Just stand comfortably, feet directly below your hips. Work a little bit forwards in your feet. Just try and soften a little bit in hips and knees and start to turn from the center of your body. When you turn in the middle of your body, just feel how that spreads upwards, ribs and shoulders, down into your arms. You may even find that the movement in your legs. In the long run, we want to try and just reduce that a little bit. But for the moment, just take it nice and easy. Give yourself time to settle into your posture. Just calculate. Take a few slow, deep breaths if that helps you to settle in. And just realize that where I am, it's quite warm. Sometimes we can feel a bit kind of sluggish, especially if we start the day. A little bit of movement will help to just disperse some of the heat that may have built up in your body overnight. Gently encouraging your blood and energy to circulate. Note any areas that feel a bit tight or a bit stiff or blocked. Yeah, some of those will start to just sort of disperse with the movement. Others you may need to just sort of think about your posture and your movement a little bit. Subsequent exercises may help to clear them. But for the moment, it's really just about bringing your attention into your body. Stepping back a little bit from all of the hurly-burly and the features of our life. Just using that awareness of our body as an anchor for our attention. You will find that your thoughts get pulled away quite regularly, but this awareness of our posture and our movement is a sort of pathway back to this space that is a bit more quiet, a bit calmer. Just letting your body settle into a nice steady rhythm. And as that starts to happen, this feeling of connection, of resonance to our bodies can increase. One of the ways that we can experience both the physical connections, the mechanical connections in the body, but also this feeling of a continuous movement, a continuous energy, like water in a central heating system. Arms feeling quite heavy. Loosen your fingers. Try not to hold your fingers or your thumbs stiff. One of the qualities that we're looking to build in our posture is of a sense of space for movement, space in the joints, space for muscles to expand and contract, space for the flow of the movement. Anybody new to this, that takes a little bit of time to build. Be patient. Don't force anything. Turn your hands palm out and just raise them up a little bit, no higher than your shoulders. You notice that my elbows are lower down, almost as though your hands and arms are hanging from the ceiling. Don't stiffen up in your shoulders. Try not to hold the muscles of your arms tight. Just let your hands drop down. Now, take a step forward. Notice that I've kept the width of my step. You can see the background between my legs. Just a little bit of movement forwards and backwards, so your weight moving from foot to foot. And at the same time, find that the center of your body turns. Try not to tighten up in your knees, particularly. You want to get a feeling of your weight dropping into the foot. Get a feeling of your hips dropping down. And then change sides. Try not to lean forwards or backwards as you move. And then just give your legs a shake. So the parallel stance, feet directly below your hips. So you've got this feeling that your hips are supported by your feet, shoulders are supported by your hips. And just rocking your weight forwards and backwards. Pivoting in your ankles. So if you can imagine a line going up through your body, like this pole, if you imagine this in will go through the middle of my body, then I'm doing this. Not this, not bending from the hips or pushing my head forwards or backwards. And what we're trying to do is to find that position where, as that line moves from side to side, it gradually finds a sort of center of balance. And in theory, I could find a way of positioning this pole so that I could let go and that wouldn't happen. Of course, that's quite a difficult thing. There's all sorts of factors involved. But basically, we're trying to bring our body more into line with the pull of gravity so that gravity pushes down into our feet rather than forwards and backwards. So we cease to struggle so much against the pull of gravity. Just see if you can come to rest approximately in that position. It's not necessarily a fixed point. And then thinking about the upper part of your body, rib cage, chest, shoulders, upper back, just very, very gently pull the muscles in so you tighten up a little bit and then release. And the thing to focus on is this feeling of releasing. You get a feeling of the soft tissue of your body flowing inwards and downwards. You don't need that tightness to maintain the shape of your chest, for instance. When you've done that a few times, bring your attention to the middle part of your body, really from your waist through your hips down to your thighs and your knees, same thing. And this is much more influential. You'll probably find as you tighten up in the middle of your body, then you'll also tighten up in your shoulders. But as we release, so you release in your shoulders. So you pull your belly in, lower back, hips, buttocks, and release. And this downward feeling is very important. If I come a bit closer to the camera, I tighten up. If you watch what my knees do as I release, they just naturally soften a little bit and develop a very slight curve in them. It's not fully bent. So we begin to drop our center of gravity. We begin to root down. And then the next time you get that feeling of dropping down, just allow your hips to drop back a little bit more until you feel that your legs are ready to push you up. Come to the top position. The top position is roughly knees in line with the balls of your feet, hips in line with your ankles. So a feeling of hips and buttocks, lower back overhanging slightly. And just again, let yourself drop down and push up. And again, just letting that develop into a nice steady rhythm, your body contracting and expanding. Your breathing just coming nice and easily and smoothly, not straining your breathing pattern or method. And then bring your hands around as though you're cradling the ball. And as you push up, feel how the expansion pushes your elbows up. The hands come up just below the collarbone. And then you imagine the ball underneath your hands. You drop your hips down so you're pressing the ball down into water. Expanding and contract. So the posture allows the free flow of gravity through our body. And yeah, the result of that is that we also get a movement and energy coming up. And we move between the two, just allowing the rhythm to settle in, the flow to settle in. And just the sensations in your sides and your back, the expansion and contraction and the movement of your arms. Notice again any areas that feel a bit blocked or tight. And sometimes we find that simply bringing our attention to those areas can be the thing that triggers their release, the intention to release. So we have an idea of what the term releasing means from that earlier exercise where we deliberately tightened up and then released. Now we can begin to imagine that working in different parts of our body. Notice how our bodies respond to memories, to imagination, to images. These are intentional movements, and our intention uses a range of different things. As I said, memories, and it's something that has happened before, sensation or an action. An image, if it's the right image, will produce a response in your body. Sometimes just a simple awareness or some kind of information about posture, giving you a little bit of detail, much more detail we could go into always in Tai Chi. But increasingly in Tai Chi, we find that intention is a sort of pure intention as we get to know the movements better. We get to a point where we need things like the images less, I think. They're still important, they're still useful. It's a much more immediate response between body and mind with a bit of practice. We're keeping that same movement up and down in your hips, but expanding and contracting. Next time you sink down, just turn the fingers out to your sides, and this time push up sideways. This is the exercise of wild goose. So the image here is quite a strong image of a bird in flight. Not all the images will work for you all the time. So if an image is useful to you, if it helps, if it's removed, if it contributes in some ways, then do make use of it, but don't go chasing after them. Sometimes it takes a while for the images to make sense. And then letting your hands drop down all the way, crossing in front of your belly, and then pushing up. So you're painting a circle with your fingers. This is parting the cloud, lovely opening up an expansive quality as our arms come up. Try not to strain in your shoulders. It can help sometimes if you just imagine somebody behind you gently leaning down on your shoulders so that they can't actually come up. And just giving time for our body to find a way to continue the exercise without that action of the shoulders. Our bodies are generally quite good at finding what we might think of as alternative pathways. And it's often those alternative pathways out of our habitual way of moving that are the correct way, Tai Chi. Okay, so this time, let your arms drop down. Again, aware of the weight of your arms hanging, and with the next expansion, draw one hand up, let your elbow drop down, and just slightly above your head, winding around and pulling down. This is Dragon Plucks the Stars Sky. Make your attention to the opposite side, and then same thing again. Dragon plucks the stars from the sky. So as though you're picking a delicate flower from a tree, don't grip tightly. Keeping that rhythm of expansion and contraction. Still aware in the back of your mind of that point where you found your weight drawn down through your body, where the pull of gravity pulling you down into your feet. So try not to sort of lean backwards or forwards, too far forwards. Just recognize that old habits of movement and posture are bound to reassert themselves. Try not to get frustrated about that. One more on each side. Take your time. Now bring your hands to your sides and up in front of your body, just a little bit above your head there. Just try to place the palms of your hands on the low seat. Back down beside your hips, and then start again, but this time drop your elbows, turn your hands out as though you're pushing the walls away. And back. Both these movements keep your hands slightly in front of your body so that your back feels longer and broader than the front of your body and is able to support the front of your body. Just notice the sensations in your back and sides, as though your back being very gently massaged in different directions. Ribs hanging slightly from your spine. Try not to pull your belly in. This time, aware of those sensations in your back, so very carefully not losing those as you push your hands out. Turn a little bit in your hips, changing the direction of your arms, but not twisting your back around. And then turn the other way. So if that image of the pole going up through your body was useful, you're turning around that and then facing forwards and push out to the sides, pushing in full direction. First direction is upwards, facing forwards. In the next three directions, your hands push out from your shoulders, but you turn in the center of your body, the area between your hips and your waist. This should feel like quite a light movement. The image is sometimes of a weather vane blowing in a gentle breeze. So we'll try not to resist the movement. Just beginning to appreciate the significance of that center part of your body, the expansion, in a sense, coming from there, the contraction going back to there. It becomes a focal point for our attention. We learn to bring our attention, to bring our thoughts regularly to that center part of the body as a pathway again to that quieter, calmer quality. It's that part of the body that drops to the ground. So in bringing our attention to the center, we're also bringing our attention to the ground beneath our feet. Literally centered and grounded in our movements. Do one more round of this one. And then let your hands drop down, and this time the expansion pushes one arm out, slightly curved in your elbow, so your arm swings slightly above your head and gain a little bit in front, and then straight down in front of your face, down the center line of your body. So think of a line from the crown of your head to your nose to your navel. There's a half circle tracing the outline of your body. And it's called circling palms. Again, try not to stiffen up in your shoulder. And this time, if it's comfortable for you, again, you turn a little bit. If you find that that's tight in your back or your shoulder, then leave that out. Just stay facing forwards. And then changing sides. And then if it's comfortable for you, add in the turn. But remember, whatever we do, we want that feeling of space within the body. Now, just letting your arms rest, go back to this movement. When we do this, sinking down and pushing up, we're trying to just allow our pelvis to remain level. This helps to keep us upright, shoulders are in line with hips and so on. Very carefully, we're going to change this, so do be careful, it's quite strong on your back and your knees. As you sink down, push your hips back so the pelvis tilts and it takes your whole of your upper body at a slight angle. And then, once again, letting gravity draw your hips down, you feel your head coming up very gently, and then push up. And then again. So again, it's the center part of your body that is really influencing the whole of your body. In this occasion, your alignment with the pull of gravity, have that image of the center line, the pole going up through your body, if you like, and that's what you're coming back to. Try not to stiffen up or strain in your shoulders or your neck, so that rather than pulling up against gravity, we sort of settle in to the line of gravity. And we do two movements using two exercises using this movement. This time, as you push up, your hands following the movement. As you sink down, they get swung forward. This is called rowing a boat in the middle of the lake. Again, be careful, don't go too far. I'm trying to do this quite big so you can see what I'm doing, but that's not to suggest that that's what you should be doing, anything like as much. Rowing a boat in the middle of the lake. Nice and gently. One more time. And then your hips drop back, hands come into a point in front of your belly. Turn horizontally and then push your hips back so your hands get pushed forwards, swinging your hips around and come back to the starting point. Turn the other way, push your hips back and around and back. Turn around so you can see what my hips are doing. Turn, push away, swing the hips about, let them drop down and come back. And then the other way. It's called polishing the table. One more time. And come back to stand. Excellent. We're going to carry on using this parallel stance, but you might want to be a little bit wider for this next couple of exercises. And you can have your feet slightly turned out. You'll see why. I'm not going to do that. You just want a bit more space for your weight to move. And the feet are going to move a little bit anyway. Again, let your hips sink down. I like you're sort of squatting down onto a ball or something like that. Just be careful that you don't tighten up in your knees. You want your weight to drop into your feet. And then just begin to move your weight a little bit from side to side. And once again, try to keep the alignment of your body. So again, if I use the pole to demonstrate, you see there, it's in the line from the front. I'm doing this. I don't want to do this or anything like that. I want to carry that center line with me as much as I can. And this is something that we get used to doing in Tai Chi, always looking for that alignment with the pull of gravity or with any incoming force that acts on the body as much as we can. Just give yourself a moment to settle into each leg. Soften the knees. You may find you begin to drop a bit more, a bit stronger in your thigh muscles. Just make sure again you don't strain your knees. This time, as you go into your left foot, so mirror my movements, turn your body and just let the right heel come up so the knee can turn in. You get a bit more weight in this leg. Coming back, settling into your right foot, turning, bringing your hip around. Hold your hands on, so just let your forearms rest gently on your hip. We sometimes use the image that we're moving in water or even like water in Tai Chi. When we move in water, there's a slight sense of resistance, which actually encourages us to soften, to release a little bit. So that releasing feeling that we did right at the beginning starts off as an almost mechanical operation, but eventually it becomes part and parcel of how we move. Now this time, as your hip comes through, your shoulder comes through, just pushing the hand forwards a little bit, and as you come back, drawing it back. And the same thing on the other side, your arm gently extended, like the branch of a tree growing out of the trunk. So it gets sort of pushed out, it lengthens from your shoulder into your fingers. And because you're pushing from the leg, there's a slight upward movement and that pushes your hand up. And this is called hitting the ball in front of the shoulder. From here, turn the right hand palm down, draw down. As you come through the midline, let the left hand pick up the movement. And now both hands rotate. So expanding from one side to another, sinking down in the supporting leg, giving us quite a strong and dynamic movement. Again, just be aware of the sensations of expansion and contraction, your back and your sides and in the front of your body. These are the movements that begin to drive the individual exercises. The basic energy comes from your legs, from your root, and then from the transfer of your weight. Feel the change from one side to another. One side expanding, the other contracting. And these are all movements that contribute to the flow of the energy. We're always looking for the movement to have a sense of flow and that sense of harmony. So hitting the ball in front of the shoulder. Giving yourself time to really settle in the supporting leg. If I exaggerate, it's almost like I'm doing this, and then I can push myself up. But that is an exaggeration. It's a more subtle feeling than simply the muscles pushing. And this time, let your hands drop down and out, slightly angling outwards. And as you move across, same thing in the legs, they just swing down to a gentle curve, palms of your hands facing outwards. gradually let the curve expand so that your arms begin to swing up. And this is called cow gazes at the moon. The hands coming slightly above shoulder height, and you're gazing between your hands into the distance. To start off with, we do this towards the front, the way that we're facing, sinking down into the supporting leg each time. Soften your hip, not straining for the movement. We can go a little bit further if it suits us, but to do that, you settle down in your hip a little bit more and just turn, not straining in your back, not twisting your back around, but turn in here so you can sink down. Now, it's obviously going to be stronger in the upper body, but it shouldn't be strained, it shouldn't be stiff. We're not trying to stretch in this. Nothing wrong with stretching, but we're concerned with that internal flow of movement. So always feeling that you've stopped in time to retain some of that space. We go to 80% of the full movement. So this is the cow gazes at the moon. This time, bring your weight back to the middle, straighten your feet up a little bit, turn your hands in as though you're holding the ball. And now, taking your hands through a full circle, carrying the ball around. Again, hips dropping back, and just feel the effect of this movement in your back, especially your lower back. Weight staying 50% in each leg. Return in the center, so upper body expanding, return back, upper body beginning to contract. So increasingly, we want to feel that those movements within our body, movement of our weight, turning in the center, patterns of expansion and contraction, are what moves our arms for us. And then go back in the other direction. When we start off, of course, the main thing that we see is our arms moving. And that starts to draw our attention into those more internal sensations, and gradually they become the primary movers. Just circling the ball in front of them. Nice and gentle. And then let your hands drop down and just give them a little bit of a swing. The shoulders are tightened up. This should help to just release that a little bit. And shake. We're going to change the stance now. We're going to go to that forward stance again. So again, you see I've got hip width between my feet. You can see the background between my legs. Turn your left foot out to a comfortable angle. Step straight forwards with the right leg. And the length of the step is about the same as the width. And once again, just begin to transfer your weight forwards and backwards. Try to be a little bit more precise about this now. You want your weight to drop into the foot. The terminology that we use, we say that the weight fills and empties. So it's like pouring water into a glass. It hits the bottom of the glass first and fills up. Try not to stiffen up in your knee. It will be strong in the muscles of your legs. And we go to something like 60% of our weight in the front leg here. We feel the push coming back. And we go to about 70% in the back leg. And once again, settling in, feeling again that response of our body to the compression of our legs. gravity draws us down towards the ground. Our legs get a little bit compressed like a set of springs or like being on a trampoline. And as our leg expands, we direct the movement forward. So it's, again, we direct through the center part of our body, the area between hips and waist. Easy and gently. Again, you can imagine doing this in water, which provides a little bit of resistance and may give you a sense of change, of sensation in the upper part of your body. And then settle into your back foot and just raise the front toes a little bit, so a bit more of your weight drops into the back foot. Now you can have the front foot turned out. Go forwards, push your back knee forwards, let your heel come up, settle in. And again, as you do this, again, if I take this pole as representing the center line of my body, see, I'm staying in line with that. I don't want to do this or this. So just using that awareness of how gravity is working through your body. And one of the constant intentions in these arts is to not interrupt that flow. So settle into your back foot and then just draw the front foot in, step forwards, put your heel down, lower your toes, press into the ground a little bit, and then let your weight follow, and then bring your back foot in. This time, when you step out, put the ball of your foot down, then your heel, and again, settle back and settle in. Trying to keep your pelvis level. Remember, we achieved that before by allowing gravity to pull our hips down. We did that in the earlier exercises. So the very thing that might pull us over, that might cause us to lean or to strain, becomes one of the principal things that allows us to remain upright and stable. Shake out. Try that on the other side. Transferring your weight, first of all. So the very force that acts on our body in what could be a negative way is turned around, much like a sailor might angle the sails of their boat so that the wind that might stop them moving or even blow them over actually helps to move them along. And this is a principle that we use a great deal in Tai Chi. It has its origins in the martial side of Tai Chi, where we try not to meet force with force, but rather, to use a cliche, some people talk about using your opponent's force against you. We try to move with whatever's happening on our bodies, whatever forces are acting on our bodies, not to simply give in to them, but to find a way through them, to find a way to make use of them rather than to strain against. And so we're applying those ideas to the solo movements, in particular to the pull of gravity through our body, learning to move without the conflict, without the strain. So then you can start to raise toes and heel. And then stepping in. Like you're walking on thin ice, you want to test the ice before you commit the weight. It's one of the reasons we're taking slightly shorter steps than what might be our normal walking step in. And then you can either go forwards or backwards depending on where your room is. I'm going to go forwards, swing back, plant the foot forwards or backwards and move away. A simple step in, just feeling the process of walking for its own sake. And then and back. Keeping the width of your step. And then bringing your feet back. So this has introduced another sort of movement. You know, we've sunk down, we've pushed up, we've turned in the center of the body. We've got these patterns of expansion and contraction in our back. But one of the principal drivers in Tai Chi is going to be the movement of the weight. So we do a few exercises using that and bringing these different factors together. Have your right foot forward. So again, mirror my movements. Start with your hands at your sides. And again, imagine that you're in water. Move forwards. Let the pressure of the water hold your arms back until you settle into the front leg and let your arms swing. And then back. It's called fisherman cast net. Like throwing a sheet over the bed. This lovely wave-like movement through your body. People more familiar with this exercise, again, try and just register patterns in your sides, back, and your belly as your arms swing through. The fisherman cast the net. With this version, we're facing forwards, we're moving forwards and backwards. Arms are swinging forwards. We're going to change that now. So go forwards, and this time, as you go back, turn in the direction of your back foot. So now, same movement really, you're just turning your body to give a bit of direction to your arms. Noting, again, if you can, any changes in, particularly in your upper body. Still with that little bit of a curve in your arms. And this time, as you come back, feel the expansion in that left side of your body, pushing your arms up, no higher than shoulder height. Go forwards, turn. As your hands come down, feel how they sweep across your hips. Turn the other way. Feel the expansion in the right side of your body. So the combination of weight movement, turning the center of your body, patterns of expansion and contraction. Push your arms through a, sometimes described as a sideways figure of 8, perhaps a rounded X. Some people like to think of the infinity sign as used in mathematics and physics. Whichever image works best for you. And if you find an image that works for you, try and just imagine that shape in front of your body and your arms just gently tracing it. Now this time, push your back knee forwards, bring your foot in, step back before you start to move the weight. Just do a little posture check here. Are your hips still level? Are you still got that softer quality in the shoulders. Step first, move your weight through your center turning. And maybe at this point, if you feel comfortable with this, you just raise your knee a little bit. If that makes you feel wobbly or straining, then just leave your toes on the ground. Use of that image of moving through water, if that works for you. And keep hips and pelvis level. And then bring your feet parallel. So again, the combination of weight movement, expansion and contraction, the turning in your center, creates the patterns, creates the movement for your arms to express. And then we have that image of the pattern that our fingers are tracing. So now have your left foot forwards. And again, start off with fisherman castanet. Wave-like flow through your body. Coming from the ground. Turning to change the direction of your arms. Building that into the figure of eight movement. Stepping in. Again, if it's comfortable, only if it's comfortable for you, the knee coming up. Rotation in your hips hanging back. And then again, you can either go forwards or backwards, but take a few steps through as we did before, but with this movement. If you haven't already done so, I'm going to change direction at this point. Aware of that center line of your body, the pull of gravity through your body, pulling your center of gravity down. Just take one more step if you have the space. Shake. So we learn to move in different patterns in alignment with the pull of gravity and allow that free flow of energy through the body. Now, just rubbing your hands together and tapping over your face. And work up over your head and neck, palms of your hands, down to one shoulder and arm. The other side. And then onto your back. Around your hips. And your legs. Light on your belly. And onto the upper part. So then coming back to the parallel stance, and for our closing exercise, this is really the heart of the art, the feelings, the sensations, the qualities of this posture. So the last exercise helps us to come back to that, letting your hands drop down and then pushing up, arms coming out, a bit like the wild goose, but now they come around as though you're going to hold a ball against your chest. Elbows drop, drawing your hands in, turn your hands down and just settle down. So the emphasis here is on that drawing back in to your own center, to your own root. Just letting your thoughts settle into your body again each time you sink down. There's a body-mind process to just bring us back to that quiet space as represented by the mountain. It's called Embrace Tiger, Return to the Mountain. Just see what for you works best in terms of bringing your attention back. However you do that, it might be the image of the mountain or the sensation of gravity drawing your hips down, whatever. And that's a useful thing to take away from the session with you, just something that through the day, when you feel the need to settle, to quiet and to center, can help you just to recover that feeling a little bit. So embrace tiger, return to them. One more time. And take a couple of slow, gentle breaths. And shake. Lovely. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for watching. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or contact me somehow. I'll be happy to try and answer. Bye for now.